Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be unboxing and giving our first-hand impressions on one of the most unique budget controllers I've ever seen. This is Echtpower's EP05 controller, and for only $49.99, this controller promises a lot and has a lot of great features packed into it. And right away, let's talk about compatibility with the EP05. This controller works with both the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. It works on Windows PC. It does connect to the Steam Deck, and you can use this controller on mobile devices. So it is very versatile. But the feature that definitely caught my eye first and probably caught yours too is that 1.4-inch TFT high-definition display on the controller itself. And that screen isn't there just for looks. You're supposed to be able to customize things like the RGB lighting on the controller, vibration settings, button mapping. Anything you can customize with this controller is available on that little screen, which I think is pretty cool. But eventually we'll get to see if it's actually practical. Diving into the other features of the EP05, we have Hall effect joysticks, and that just means you don't have to worry about drift with these bad boys. The joysticks will be reliable and hold up no matter how long your gaming sessions are. Next, the controller's packed in with dual Hall triggers, which lets you instantly switch between a casual 6mm stroke to a much faster 2mm stroke that's great for FPS games. And last but certainly not least, the RGB lighting on this thing looks awesome, and like I mentioned when we talked about the TFT screen, it is customizable. And we get all of those awesome features for only $49.99, but if you check out the comments or the description below, I actually do have an exclusive discount code, which will make this even cheaper. But alright, let's dive into the box and get onto the hands-on experience and see if all these great features make for a wonderful controller. Alright, and here's the packaging itself of the EP05. You can see Echtpower up top there, our little branding up here. I already peeled the tape. I am horrendous at peeling the tape, so we had to get that off. And then over here on the back, it'll go over all of those awesome features we talked about in the intro. Of course, we have the awesome TFT display up front. I can't wait to see if this is actually practical or not. We have our adjustable triggers, Hall effect joysticks to prevent grip, and here's one I actually left off the intro. It does have a 1000 hertz polling rate, and that's for both wired and wireless connection. And what that means is it has a super fast response time. You're not going to deal with any latency on this controller. You can see for PC, if you don't have a Bluetooth card, you do have a USB dongle you can plug right in there, but this thing works with straight up Bluetooth as well. You should be able to connect this to your Steam Deck. Showing off the RGB lighting here on the side and on the other side. And let's dive into the box now. This box is honestly pretty small. My hand is bigger than it, so it should be right into the point here. Again, I peeled off the tape already. I didn't want to destroy the box in that process. And yep, it looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to dive right in. Let's pull out the side goodies here first. Alrighty, and I ripped open the bag. Here's our USB dongle. Again, you can plug this into your PC if you don't have a Bluetooth card. But when it comes to the Switch and Switch 2, you shouldn't have to use this thing, so keep that in mind. Alright, and up next we have our instruction manual, and this might be the first time I'm ever saying this, but I'm going to read this thing because I need to know how to use this little screen on the front of the controller here. And then we get our USB-C cord to charge this thing. And I just wanted to highlight, yes, this is a USB-C connection. Alrighty, now to the controller itself. It's housed in this little styrofoam bag here. We have our little analog covers, and ooh, right away, this thing does feel interesting in the hand, and I don't mean that in a bad way. We have our rubberized grips on the front of each side of the controller here, and on the back, we get a grip too, although it kind of feels like a classic Xbox controller. This part's plastic, this part's going to be rubber. You can see the RGB lighting kind of strips right through here, and it's actually on both analog sticks as well. And boom, here's our interesting display that I can't wait to check out. Let's actually peel this little cover off. Look how satisfying this is. And here is our display on the controller, and I can't tell you how many videos and concept videos I used to see as a kid that showed screens on controllers and I would lose my mind for it. So that day is finally here. Now, our Hall effect joysticks do feel really nice, and of course, we do have the analogs in the Xbox kind of layout as well. Honestly, I'm loving the rubber grips on the front. Another really interesting thing about this controller is look how rounded the triggers are here. It's not your typical pointy edge trigger. It's almost like a little half moon shape, and we do have some texturized plastic grips here again on the triggers themselves. Bumpers up top seem pretty normal. Again, USB-C connection here. Your face buttons on the controller are going to be the typical membrane buttons. D-pad overall feels pretty solid. Now, flipping over to the back, remember, we do have two programmable back buttons here, and what's really cool is you should be able to do that right on this little display here, so we'll mess with that in a little bit. And again, these awesome triggers you can see from these little switches, they are adjustable. Right here is that 2mm stroke. If we push both of these down, it'll be a much bigger stroke. I would say this is better for like racing or casual games, and if you flip these up, these are definitely like FPS games. And right out of the box, I gotta say this fits great in my hand. It's not too big, it's not too small. I would say this really is a medium-sized controller. I thought from the box it was gonna be much smaller in hand, but it's really not. Now, let's flip this bad boy on, and I'm just gonna see, oh, yep, we got our RGB lights kind of kicking on there. You can see They go from the side of the controller down and then on both rings of the analog. And there is that beautiful TFT display. Okay, it's wanting to connect to something. Obviously, I haven't, set up connection with my Switch yet or my PC, but let's just see. We're going to hold down this button. And boom, look at this. We get our menu and we can kind of sort through. We can see pairing. Okay, and it looks like you navigate the screen using the D-pad. You can kind of see here we have different modes. R1 is to click into that screen, I found out. And I think L1 is back. You can see we have our Switch, phone, PC, and the receiver if you just want to use that dongle. L1 is back, as we just found out live. We can, program our different mappable buttons here. But then here's the really cool stuff. We have a brightness section right here to, edit the brightness of the screen on the controller. How sweet. And let me tell you right off the rip, this is obviously isn't a playing a game. We'll see if it survives that test. But the vibration feels really good on this. It's not like super obnoxious and just absolutely rattling everything. It feels close to an HD rumble, which is pretty good. All right, we'll go back for now. And now, of course, we can mess with our lighting for the RGB here. And look at that. Right now, I'm just flipping through different solid covers. You can obviously get a gradient or slow fade effect as well, too, as you saw. This thing is awesome. The customization being on this screen actually works. And I think even setting it up with your different systems is going to work really well, too, because you seriously just go over to mode and then click the corresponding one. And then I'm going to assume we're going to click that first home button where it said hold down for 3 seconds. We're going to do that till it actually connects to the platform we're trying to connect to. And that concludes the unboxing portion of this. Let me play with this thing for a couple hours and give you my thoughts on this. All right, I've had about 12 hours now with the EP05, and I've used it on 3 different platforms: the Nintendo Switch 2, my desktop PC, and my Steam Deck. And I have to say, my gaming sessions on all 3 of those platforms went really well. My initial thoughts was connecting the EP05 to all 3 of those platforms was super easy thanks to the display. I mean, I said coming into this video, yeah, that 1.4-inch screen on the controller really caught my eye, and it definitely made me want to check this thing out. But I would be lying to you if I thought that wasn't a little gimmicky and I really wouldn't use it. But boy, was I wrong on that. And I felt wrong about that immediately because, again, when I was connecting to all 3 of these platforms, all you have to do is surf down to mode, click the corresponding platform you want, and hold the sync button, and boom, you're there. And that is all on the controller. That is super convenient and easy. And if you know third-party Switch controllers, you know sometimes it can be a pain to get them to connect. The only thing Nintendo users might face is the A and B button are switched up from the typical Nintendo layout. Of course, Nintendo had to be different there. But other than that, this thing was like perfect for the Switch too. I specifically used the EP05 while playing Donkey Kong Bonanza because I thought that would be a great test to see how good the rumble was on this controller. And if you haven't played Donkey Kong Bonanza, why that's a great test is because you're just punching through a bunch of terrain in that game and the controller's like constantly rumbling. And a lot of third-party controllers really fall short on games like this. But again, I just used my display to adjust the different vibration settings to the comfortable setting. And really, I gotta say, the rumble was great on this controller. It wasn't just like the whole thing just rocking like a lot of third-party controllers. Being able to mess with the settings quickly and on the fly without even exiting out of the game was awesome. And before we move on from the display, obviously the RGB lighting is just a cool effect of the controller, but I just wanted to solidify my thoughts from the unboxing that was really easy to do through the display as well. Now, after checking this thing out on the Switch 2, I hooked it up to my desktop PC and tried a new FPS game called Metal Eden. And Metal Eden is like a sci-fi Doom game. It's like super fast-paced, shooting everywhere. So I thought that would be a great test for this controller, and it held up great. Again, that 1000 hertz polling rate was really showed off there. There was no latency. I felt completely in sync with the parkour and quick movement of Metal Eden. And really, this was a great test for these triggers as well. Again, they do have a nice grip up top, which I thought felt nice, but the triggers have this rounded shape that I was unsure about, and I gotta say they were comfortable. The rounded triggers like didn't blow my mind, but it wasn't a negative. And it just felt comfortable and responsive. And I definitely played this game with the 2mm stroke. It's small details like this that won't blow your mind, but just make a great controller. During my time playing both Donkey Kong Bonanza and Metal Eden, I felt like the face buttons and D-pads felt really comfortable, and the grip on the joysticks actually felt phenomenal. I didn't think I was gonna walk away feeling like that, but this unique concave design and whatever rubber they used on the actual analog sticks themselves felt great. So my overall thoughts on the EP05 is it is a great budget controller. You're getting so many premium features packed into a $50 controller, and that's overall a great deal. But really, I think the EP05 is a great controller to have in your arsenal because of this screen. I mean, seriously, how many times as a kid did we want something like this? This controller is super customizable, and it's super quick and easy to access all those options because it's built into the controller. It makes a nice budget controller stand out even more, and I think Echtpower did a great job with building this controller. And again, this controller comes in at $49.99. Check out the description, check out the comments for the link to the device itself, but also an exclusive discount code. I would definitely recommend the EP05 controller. I think I would really recommend it for Switch the most. That is my thoughts on the EP05 from Echtpower. Let me know, what did you think of the controller down below? And if you like gaming and gaming accessories, smash the subscribe and like button, and I will catch you all on the next one.